What's up YouTube, Capital G here, breaking down the brand new Fire Fist support that just got leaked by Konami on the official Yu-Gi-Oh! Card database for Fist of the Gadgets. Konami had a little bit of an oopsie, and they ended up revealing the entire booster set, including all the gadget cards, the reprints, and all the Fire Fist, and then they immediately took it down, but it didn't matter. Everybody already saw the cards in that time, took screenshots and all that good stuff. So we're going to go ahead and break down the Fire Fist cards. I don't want to dawdle here because we got 10 cards to talk about. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. The first card is Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Ram. It says when this card is normal summon, you can discard one card, then target one fire formation spell / trap you control. Set one fire formation spell / trap with a different name directly from your deck. If this card is summoned by the effect of a Fire Fist monster, you can set one fire formation with a different name to cards in your graveyard directly from your deck. Both effects are hard once per turn. This card feels like a weird cross or kind of like a middle ground between maybe Leopard and Rooster. It does have that effect where if it's summoned from like Horse Prince from the deck, you can basically just go +1. Not sure if it's better than Rooster in that case. I think Rooster might be a little better. Also, it does feel like it's kind of a play starter as Leopard is, but this one, instead of kind of giving up a monster, you have to discard a card from your hand. So this feels like an okay card. I don't know if you really need to run this because I feel like Leopard, Rooster, and Spirit, that combo is already kind of set, and I'm not sure that this really makes it better, but it's an interesting card nonetheless. Next up is an amazing card in my opinion. This is Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Elephant. This is a level 4, and it says if this card is normal or special summon, you can send one fire formation spell / trap you control to the graveyard, then special summon one Fire Fist monster from your hand, except another copy of Elephant. It says you can target one fire formation spell in your graveyard, or spell / trap in your graveyard, shuffle it into your deck, and then you can add one level 5 or higher Fire Fist monster from your deck to your hand. Both effects are hard once per turn. So this effect well, both of these effects are really good. Number one, this card lets you unload your hand pretty much at no cost. You're just giving up a fire formation card, and then you can put that same fire formation card back in your deck and instantly go +1. Not only does it search the new Fire Fist ritual monster that's actually quite good, but it searches another level 5 that we're about to talk about momentarily. This card is excellent for just like extending your plays, especially considering in the Vrains era, being able to summon just any monster from your hand means you can go into link monsters. I feel like this is one of those cards that will probably be played in multiples of, because I think you want this card in your opening hand, and I feel like you want to summon this card pretty much every turn 1 with Fire Fist so that you can pop off as hard as possible. Next up is that level 5 Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Panda. This says if you activate a fire formation spell / trap except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand, then you can special summon one Fire Fist monster from your graveyard except another copy of Panda. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn except Fire Fist monsters. If a Fire Fist monster or monsters you control will be destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can send one fire formation spell / trap you control to the graveyard instead. Both effects are hard once per turn. This feels like such an excellent one of in the archetype, especially considering Elephant can pretty much search the card for free. All you have to do is just activate any fire formation spell or trap, and you get to special summon this card from your hand, so it's not very difficult to get on board. Then when you special summon it, it summons one of your monsters from the graveyard for free, so it means that you're link summoning earlier in the turn. It's pretty much just cost efficient because you're getting one of those monsters back. This card does lock you into only being able to special summon Fire Fist monsters for the rest of the turn, but I kind of feel like this is an amazing one of. I think you wouldn't want to ideally draw this card. You'd probably just want to search it with Elephant, but even if you do, not that big of a problem. I'm definitely liking this as a play extender and as a card that when it's summoned will summon another monster. So basically it's like 2 monsters in one. Next up is their ritual monster, Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Eiland. It's a level 6. It can be ritual summoned with its appropriate card, which is not actually a ritual spell. We'll talk about that momentarily. It says you can discard one monster, set one fire formation spell / trap directly from your deck or graveyard. When your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can send one face-up Fire Fist or fire formation card you control to the graveyard except a copy of eiland. Negate that effect, hard once per turn on both of the effects. This card is actually like surprisingly good for a ritual monster. Like I really thought this card was going to suck, and I think it's actually quite awesome. Number one, it has built-in monster negation. Who doesn't love that in 2019? Number two, it doesn't even just have to send fire formation spells and traps. You can send a Fire Fist monster to get that monster negation. And then number three, this card can recover your fire formation spells or traps even from your freaking graveyard. You can reuse your cards if you want, or obviously you can get them from your deck. Like this card feels all around really solid. Only way it would have been better is if that monster negation would not have been a hard once per turn. Then we would have had a Palausa on our hands, but definitely a good card. Now for some reason, Konami gave Fire Fist a fusion monster. I don't know why, but now they have one, so there's that. This is Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Swan. It's a level 8 fusion, 2600 attack, and it requires 2 Beast Warrior monsters to be summoned. It says if this card is special summoned, you can inflict 200 damage to your opponent for each fire formation spell / trap you control. During the battle phase, quick effect, you can send 1 face-up fire formation spell or trap you control to the graveyard, then target 1 card your opponent controls, destroy it hard once per turn on both of the effects. I think this card honestly feels completely unnecessary. I think the burn damage is incredibly minuscule. I mean, maybe for end of match procedure, having a burn card is like cute and everything, but I don't think that this card is really good. Its removal and disruption is way too linear, and its burn damage is just way too minuscule. I don't think players are going to actually use the card. Next up, we have the second Link monster for Fire Fist. This is Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Peacock. It is a Link 2 that requires 2 Fire Fist monsters, points to the left and straight down towards you. 1000 attack. While this card points to a Fire Fist monster, monsters your opponent controls cannot target this card for an attack. When this card declares an attack, you can send 1 fire formation spell / trap you control to the graveyard, then target 1 monster your opponent controls, place that opponent's monster in a zone this card points to, and take control of it until the end phase, but it cannot declare attacks this turn. You got a hard once per turn on that effect. This is basically like baby or mini Borlo Dragon for Fire Fist. This card is a hell of a lot easier to make than Borlo Dragon in Fire Fist, especially with so many restrictions on you being able to special summon non-Fire Fist monsters in turns you want to pop off. But this card does kind of have that similar removal, and in application it works very similar to Borlo. Obviously you don't get to keep your opponent's monster as long. That monster you take can attack, and it does actually target when you're trying to take your opponent's monster, but theoretically you should be able to kind of use this card similarly to Borlo Dragon. If your opponent has big monsters like Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, just like problem stuff, you can attack into it, just kind of take their monster. I don't know how you're gonna get that monster off the field if you can't special summon other monsters that are not Fire Fist, because your opponent gets the monster back during the end phase, so you need to get that monster off the field to make it kind of worthwhile, unless you're just trying to push through like 1 monster your opponent controls. Overall, I think this card will definitely see play just because it's a niche utility effect, and I feel like that kind of situation comes up a lot in Yu-Gi-Oh, so I definitely think they'll use this card. And again, it's a lot easier to summon than Borlo Dragon. We have Fire Fortress on the Liang Peak. This is their field spell. It's always treated as a fire formation card. It says each time a Fire Fist monster or monsters are normal or special summon, place 1 Fire Fist counter on this card. Once per turn, you can remove Fire Fist monsters, counters on the field to activate one of these effects. If you remove 2 counters, if your Beast Warrior monster attacks, your opponent can't activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step. If you remove 6, you get to add 1 Beast Warrior from your deck to your hand. And if you remove 10, you can special summon 1 Beast Warrior from your deck or extra deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. This is basically just like shitty Gateway of the 6 in my opinion. This card works almost identical to Gateway of the 6. It's just like way worse. Number 1, it's a once per turn, which Gateway wasn't. Number 2, it builds counters up half as fast as Gateway, so it's really slow. And then number 3, even like the Rhoda effect is just, it's a lot harder to get. I mean, seriously, 6 summons for a Rhoda, and I think the 10 effect would probably only work if you're pulling off some type of FTK. I mean, really, if you summon 10 times in Fire Fist and you still haven't figured out a win condition, like you definitely did something wrong. So I don't think you should run the card. I don't think people will. We have the Ritual card for Fire Fist, which is still a continuous spell. Fire Formation Dome. When this card is activated, you can ritual summon 1 Beast Warrior ritual monster from your hand, tributing monsters on your field or hand whose total levels exceed or equal its level. If this face-up card is sent to the graveyard from the spell and trap zone, you can target 1 Fire Fist monster in your graveyard, special summon it. It is is a hard once per turn on that effect. Okay, so for a ritual kind of card, this really isn't that bad. I mean, basically, it's a card that lets you ritual summon, but if you send it to the graveyard, it has a monster reborn. And obviously, like so many of Fire Fist cards, send formations to the graveyard. So being able to recover a monster kind of pays you back for ritual summoning. Like, I think that this is actually pretty solid for a ritual card in 2019. Next up is their fusion card, which is Fire Formation Ingen. It is a continuous spell. When this card is activated, you can fusion summon one Beast Warrior fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters in your hand or field as material. If this face-up card is sent to the graveyard from the spell and trap zone, you can target one Fire Fist monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand, hard once per turn. Okay, so basically this is the same thing as the ritual card, except instead of getting a monster reborn when it's sent from the field to the graveyard, you're getting a warrior returning alive. I think in 2019, you'd much rather have that kind of monster reborn to be able to push for damage or link climbing, etc., etc. Honestly, I kind of feel like this card is just ruined by proxy because it's associated with the fusion monster, and I don't think the fusion monster is quite good, let alone that comparatively this card is worse than the ritual form of this card. So yeah, I think that this card won't see any play because it's worse than its counterpart, and the fusion monster isn't good either, so there's really no reason to play it. Then lastly, we have a counter trap for Fire Fist, and I really thought that this card was going to be the nuts, and it was so close, but Konami did not nail the mark. This is Ultimate Fire Formation Sento. Counter trap, it says when a spell / trap is activated while you control a Fire Fist monster and a Fire Formation spell or trap, negate that activation, and if you do destroy it, it is a hard once per turn on this card. While this may seem like an Infernity Barrier on the surface, understand this only stops spells and traps. It does not stop monsters in any way, doesn't stop monster effects, doesn't stop monster summons. This is the problem when Konami tries to make kind of like these half-ass Infernity Barriers. Like they did it for, I guess, Magical Musketeers. They also did it for Evil Eye. These cards that only stop spells and traps, they're just not quite as good as what they need to be. These cards do not stack up to Salaman Great Roar or Orchestrated Crescendo. And then I also don't like the fact that I have to control two cards to activate this card. It feels very similar to the Gravekeeper Infernity Barrier, but at least that one stops monster effects. So Konami kind of double screwed this card up. Not only does it not stop monsters in any way, but it requires me to have two cards on field. I would have been fine with the two cards on field if it would have like stopped summons and monster effects and just been kind of an all blanket Solemn Judgment type Infernity Barrier card. That would have been fine, but I really feel like this would have been the card that kind of cemented those amazing turn one plays for like the Fire Fist archetype. I mean, imagine having that plus then like the ritual to be another negation. That probably would have been like, you know, good enough to beat meta decks, but I don't really know if people will play this card, especially with Solemn Judgment at 3. Like, just fucking play Solemn Judgment, honestly. Anyways, whatever you guys think of all the new Fire Fist cards, leave it in the comment section below. I think Konami did a pretty decent job. Some of these cards are really good, and I think that they will definitely see play. I'm most disappointed about the counter trap. I really think that that could have tied everything together. But thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.